Welcome to the full button tutorial of the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Prime XSE. In this video, we're going to go over all the buttons on the interior, then we'll do some overhead features and wrap up with the screen. With that said, let's begin. Starting on the door, there are 4 window switches that are auto down and auto up, one touch each. In front of those is the locking window button, which will lock the windows so people can't use them. Then we have the door lock button, and if you look really close, there are 2 little nubbies on the lock button, just like on the key fob, so that you don't have to look, you can just feel for the lock button. In front of those, we have the adjustments for the left and right side mirrors on the doors. Just tap the mirror you want to use and toggle it like a video game. Down below, we have the electronic adjustment for the driver's seat, a 2-way lumbar support for the lower back, recline forward and back, seat twister with forward and back motion, and the height level adjustment for the driver's seat. Down below we have a button and a lever. The button over here opens up the locking gas cap, and the lever right next to it opens up the hood. Above those we have a row of buttons and one scrolling lever. We have a scrolling lever here which will adjust the brightness to the gauges, the automatic high beams function, heated wiper blades, heated steering wheel, and the odometer and trip. Lastly, on the very right, we have the open and close adjustment for the power hatchback in the back. Moving to the side is a lever that we can pull down, and we can telescope the steering wheel, raise it or lower it. Once we pick the spot that works, we can lock it right back into place. All 4 of my vents have a wheel here where I can adjust the actual ventilation on the vent. I can do full ventilation or turn it off completely. For the steering wheel and stalks, let's start with the stalks. So our stalk here on the left will operate the lights. I have it selected on headlights on right now. Then there's parking lights, automatic, which will operate the automatic high beams, and daytime running lights off. Most people leave it in auto, but say it's raining or snowing during the day, you can turn it on like that and it'll give you those tail lights. For my stalk on the right, if I pull this lever down once, it'll go into auto mode, and I can change the sensitivity to the rain sensing wiper blades. Down again will be low constant, and down again will be high constant. The last half of the stalk will operate the rear wiper, so it's in the off position now, but if I select it forward once, it'll go once in a while, and this will go on constant for the back wiper. If I pull the stalk towards me, it's going to wash the front windshield, and if I push it away, it's going to wash the back windshield. Behind the steering wheel, we have a minus paddler and a plus paddler. So these are shifters that'll shift through the gears. All you have to do is shift it down into drive, go over to shift mode, and you can toggle forward or back. The steering wheel buttons are split between left and right side. There are no buttons in the back. Starting with the left side, there is a pad with 4 different arrows, a select and a back button. Those will operate the pages on the MID, which are the information screens in the middle of the gauges here. So going side to side, it'll go through the different menus, which we will go over soon. Then I have the answer and hang up button for phone calls, the volume button for phone calls or music, and the voice command button, which will operate Siri or Toyota's audio assistant. To the right side of the steering wheel, we have some buttons that control music as well as the cruise control. So to operate the cruise control, I can tap this button once. I'll see this little symbol in green, and then I can hit set, and I can increase the speed or decrease the speed. I can cancel it just like that, or I can press the brake. When I'm in the cruise control, I can set the following sensitivity with that button right there, and I can turn on or off the lane departure alert with steering assist from this button. Now we'll dive a little deeper into custom settings for this one because you can turn off the steering assist. But down below we have seek and track for the songs, and we have mode, which will go through AM, FM, Bluetooth, or Sirius radio. On the RAV4 Hybrid, we have this new 12.3-inch infotainment system, which I have a separate video for linked down below in the description. But to keep it simple, using the left and right arrows on the steering wheel, I can go through the different menus signified by the center part of the screen. Now, normally the gauges have an MID on both sides, but because from the factory the right gauge has the same menu for each page here, we're going to have to change it. So by pushing and holding OK, I can go over to the right gauge and I can change what information that shows. The lighting is a little tough, so I just have to film at an angle here, but once I change that, you'll see I can change both gauges. Going back into the settings, I can change the information here again, and then you'll see by going side to side, now each MID in the gauges will change. Of course, if I hold down the OK button on the steering wheel, I can go down to settings, And if I press OK, there are some advanced settings in here. So for this car, we have the lane trace assist, which will keep you in the center of your lane when you're driving with the lane departure alert on. I can turn on and off the blind spot monitor, which warns me if there's cars in my blind spot by shining a orange light on the mirror. For the pre-collision system, if I push and hold OK, I can change the sensitivity and turn it off. The rear cross traffic alert can be turned on and off. That's going to beep 4 times fast if it senses movement while I'm backing up. I can change the volume. The road sign assist is going to read road signs. I can change the notification level and method. And for vehicle settings, there's some advanced stuff in here. So I have charging settings where I can change the schedule, the current, the battery cooler and heater, dynamic radar cruise control. I can change the curve speed reduction, which will slow me down during curves. And for the power back door, there are some height adjustments. There are 5 different levels here that I can set it in between, which is nice. Of course, you can customize that. And the volume. The tire pressure aware system, I can set the pressure, identify each wheel in position, and even do the units, which is nice. Going down, I have my scheduled maintenance, and I can do the rear seat reminder to check for kids and animals. Pushing the back button on the steering wheel, I can now go down to meter settings, which is cool because I can change the style of the gauges. If I go down to meter type, I can change it to all digital with an analog surrounding it. If I go back, I can go to completely digital with no gauge, and down here is where I came from the factory. But say those blue gauges are just a little boring for me, I can change the style right over here. Oh, I hit the back button on accident. Lots of different options. Going on down, I can turn on and off the little EV reminder, which will pop up when I'm driving economically. For fuel economy, I can do the trip average versus total average. On the hybrid system here, the eco guidance I can have included on the screen, which we'll dive into later on. For power consumption, I can change what it shows, which is nice. Distance and total time, I can change those. Then I have trip A and B. Pop-up display, I can choose what pops up to show me what's happening for little notifications. If it's a little too pop-up-y, you can change that. And of course, I can go back to default settings like that. For buttons by the shifter, we have a pad of buttons here with a dial knob. So like I showed you those animations before, I can change to sport or eco or push it down for normal mode. Trail mode is going to change the all-wheel drive system for gravel, sand, or dirt. The auto EV HV mode will actually change it to automatically go to EV or automatically go to hybrid. The difference is EV will choose to keep the engine off as much as possible. Hybrid will choose to charge the hybrid battery as much as possible. So the engine will come on at times. And of course I can manually change it right here by holding that. It'll force it to be an EV or force it to be a hybrid. Instead of making it do it automatically, I can switch it on the fly. This button over here is a lever that you can choose to use, but I don't recommend it because that's a self-applying parking brake. It'll disengage and re-engage on its own. And over here is the brake hold button. So what this lets you do is when you're in drive, you can come to a stop. You'll see this light up in yellow on the screen and you can take your foot off the brake while staying in drive. Not only that, like I showed you earlier, you do have the manual driving mode, which I call shift mode. When I go over to the S, I can toggle the gears forward like this or back like so, including the toggler, which is signified by the S on the screen. In front of the shifter lives the wireless charging pad with your USB and 12-volt plug. Now keep in mind before we move forward, this is a RAV4 Prime XSE that has the weather package and does not have the advanced technology package. With the advanced technology package, you would also have the cooled seats instead of just heated. You'd have parking sensors for the front and rear. You would also have a heads-up display and a panoramic moonroof. But moving forward to buttons in front of the shifter, we have the 2 buttons here for the heated seats, low, off, and high. With the turn off button for the vehicle stability control, which is part of the traction control system. For the climate control, it's everything that we've seen with the RAV4. We have these 2 big rubberized, easy to use knobs for the Toyota Climate. This one has dual zone, so you can change the temperature for the passenger. Notice how everything is close to its area on the screen, which is nice. I can resynchronize like this and control everything from the driver's side. Fan speed I have right over here, and the air direction is the little button right underneath its display on the screen. For AC and recirculate for the hot days like today, they're right next to each other, and I can cancel the passenger in the rear if I don't want any ventilation in the back. Eco Heat and Cool is nice because it will actually take away that drag that you get with some of the 4 cylinders when you have the AC system on. And if you don't want to use it, you can turn it right off. But when I go into Eco mode, it's going to turn on for me automatically. And then of course over here I have the front and rear defrost for the cold days. Up above the climate control system lives the button for the hazards, which does not light up. You just push it and you get the hazards, and here are those adjustment wheels for the ventilation like I explained earlier in the video. For the overhead features, we have the automatically dimming rearview mirror with home link to 3 different garages and the power button for the auto dimming feature. Of course, the sunglass case, standard on most Toyotas, and the operation for the moonroof. Once it opens up, there's a little bit left. It opens in the most noise-resistant position. Of course, you can open it a little bit more. You might get a little bit more buffeting, and you can enjoy the glass only without the shade. The shade is not power. You just have to grab this little handle, and you can slide it to your desired position. However, say you want just a little bit of air, but you still want the glass, you have an up and down button right over here for a little bit of that air. Just don't forget on the rainy days, you want to keep that nice and closed. And then we have a pull down lever here, which blocks the button for the SOS system, which is Safety Connect. That's going to be standard on every new Toyota for 10 years or until the 4G network goes away. It's a vehicle recovery system in case you get into an accident, have a medical emergency, or the vehicle gets stolen. They can find the car. Then the individual lights here for your side lights, all upgraded to LED. They will come on with the door if we push this button, and we can turn them on all now at any time. For the screen, I also have a separate video that does a tutorial. It's more oriented towards Apple users, even though the Apple and Android are very close. However, if we cancel this, I will just show you very quickly. On the main Toyota area, we have a couple cool settings in here. In general, I can change the date and time. If I go back to display, I can turn the screen off like this. I can also change the brightness and the contrast. And of course, another cool one, if we go to Vehicle Customize, there are some really cool lock and door controls and lights. So I can change how long those lights stay on when I turn it off, how long the interior lights stay on. You can really customize this car to do a lot of cool different things based on your needs or security level. And that sums it up, guys. I try to keep it as concise and quick as possible. I know some of the tutorial videos can get a little bit lengthy. I'm always in the comments to help you, so please visit me down there. If you're in the market for a RAV4, do consider the Prime. If you liked this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I promise more useful Toyota content in the future. And for my regular subscribers, thank you so much for your support, guys. Please share this with somebody who you think might benefit from it, and stay tuned for more Toyota content. With that said, this is Brian signing out, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.